Hello, guys, and today we're going to talk about how the pyramids were really built and why the theory of alien visitors coming down to build the pyramids for the Egyptians, why that conspiracy theory is absolute bullshit. Now let's begin, shall we? First off, it was not built by slaves. It was actually built by volunteers who were already full-born Egyptian citizens who volunteered to help with the construction of the pyramids and being led by some of the best architects in the kingdom in order to make each one of the bricks at dimensions as perfect as possible. And the reason why is mostly because of the Bible, mostly used to demonize them. When in reality, as Trady Explainer best put in his three-part on the inaccuracies of 10,000 BC, it slavery never actually had that big of a role on an Egyptian life or society. And it is because of those religious beliefs back mainly during the early 20th century that kids at schools were taught that the pyramids were built by slaves. Mostly because of some religious books that were trying to demonize them. When in reality, it never had that big of a role, and clearly, even if they were slaves in Egypt, and if they did break free and move back to Israel, they would still not be free anyway. If it did actually have that big of a role to Egyptian society. Since clearly during that time, when the Exodus story is supposedly taken place, basically around the same time, a little bit before the Trojan War up north nearby, being of course when of course Ramesses the second, the pharaoh mentioned it would have really lived. Of course, it would have been under Egyptian control, and their lands would have most likely been confiscated anyway, though they're not exactly like the Romans. But still, they would conquer some lands and resources from their neighbors, and really they were essentially the civilizations of the Near East during the Bronze Age. Those guys, the Hittites, the Mitanni, and later on the Assyrians and the Mycenaeans, were essentially like the kingdoms of medieval Europe, how they were trying to take land and resources from each other. But but not necessarily try to destroy or eliminate each other. And how they would consider each other, the rulers of each one of those civilizations or empires, would have referred to each other as brothers and sisters. But anyway, getting off topic. So aliens must have built them for them then, right? Well, that would be true. But what they always keep ignoring is the rock they are made, the blocks used for the pyramids are made of. Being as you can see here, they are made of limestone, which is, and since it is a very brittle rock, if you ever stumble upon it, which is why ancient peoples liked marble, but also liked limestone as well, because it is very brittle and very easy to shape things out of. So really, what the workers, really all they would have needed, sure they were pretty huge and all, but even the society as Bronze Age level advancement, like them, like Egypt, clearly wouldn't even need some crazy lasers to make bricks or blocks out of it, when really all they needed was some goddamn wooden mallet and some fucking copper chisels. Yeah, it is that brittle. Or that soft. And of course, they would have brought up the bricks to through some incline planes. And sure, it may have taken them 2 decades to build and a lot of manpower. But still, basically, by using incline planes, or basically simple kinds of physics that most people would have learned in their science classes during middle school, or even learned about in elementary school. Very simple kinds of physics. Now, clearly, as it proves all along, really, how, let's see, the pyramids were not built by slaves. Slavery never actually had that big of a role or importance to Egyptian life or society. And you didn't need some crazy alien technology thousands of years ahead ahead of us to build the pyramids Sure, they may be very large, and for a very long time, they were the tallest. They would have been the tallest man made structures ever made. But it turns out, when only to find out there, basically just some basic physics that we've all learned in elementary or middle school, and some simple primitive tools, mostly due to how the blocks for these structures being made out of a very brittle or very soft kind of rock. That is very easy to work with, and it's very easy to carve things out of. And that you wouldn't even need a tool out, some iron tools or steel tools to carve stuff out of them either. Like, they are simply that soft. And yet, all those idiots keep ignoring what rocket is made of, for those who keep saying that it was made by aliens or made by slaves. So there. Anyway, as usual, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to watch more content in this show every day. But from now on, thanks for watching.